Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another edition of On the Needle. So, before I get started, I want to say this channel has seen several different iterations and variations over the years if you've been following me and subscribed since day one. So, one thing that it's always had is my love for music. Something that I've always talked about on this channel. And when I started getting consistent with vinyl collections on here is when I first started collecting vinyls about 4 years, well, actually almost 5 years ago now. My very first, I went back and looked today, my very first vinyl that I reviewed was Dangelo's Voodoo. So you're watching this, you more than likely have heard the news that Dangelo has passed away at the age of 51. And then this comes less than a year after Angie Stone passed, and the two of them share a son together. So many prayers and comfort out to their son, because I can't say I understand. I can only imagine how that must feel to lose not one but two parents in less than a year's time. With that, I will say I was just listening to, was telling my best friend about Brown Sugar today when I heard the news. And I was saying that I was listening to Brown Sugar and I was wondering, like, oh, when is Dangelo going to come out with something new? Because he's kind of like the male Sade of this generation of the 90s. He made this big splash in, what was that, 94, 95 with Brown Sugar. And then it wasn't until 5 or 6 years later that he came out with Voodoo. And then after that, it was over a decade when he came out with this album that I'm reviewing today, Dangelo and the Vanguard Black Messiah. So this was released just over a decade ago, December of 2014. And Dangelo is one of those artists that really upholds the stereotype, the traditional stereotype, in my opinion, of what a superstar is. So what I mean is he definitely had mass appeal with the R&B world, neo soul. He's actually one of the artists who is credited for ushering in that neo soul movement, along with him, Erykah Badu, even Bilal, where some people may say he's a little bit more underground, Jill Scott, and so many other people. So with that, you only saw Dangelo whenever he had an album out. And even then, he wasn't the artist to do a lot of interviews. You didn't really hear about him being in a beef with anybody. So you saw him through the music. When his music videos came out, you saw that. But in between albums, you really didn't hear much about his personal life. Honestly, before Angie Stone passed away, she talked a lot about it, behind the scenes things that we never knew that went on from her perspective, at least, regarding Dangelo. So I'll just say that I can't really think of many, I won't say there aren't any, but I can't think of many male R&B artists of the 90s, really male artists, period, who can say that they've had such a run with their first three albums. So you have Brown Sugar, then Voodoo, as I mentioned, and then his last release, Dangelo and the Vanguard Black Messiah. And not just three solid albums, I'm talking about three albums with no skips. Now there's songs on each of those albums that I can say, okay, well, I like this one a little bit more than the other, but I can play them all straight through. So this album, really, really great. It, to me, did a good job of picking up where Voodoo left off. It's kind of moody, like Voodoo is, but it also has some of those classic elements that we fell in love with on Brown Sugar, on songs like really love, which is one of my favorites, and then Betray My Heart. I really think he should have done a video or something with that one. I love that song. That's probably my favorite one on there. And as I'm looking back on even some of these song titles, some of it was a little cryptic and honestly talked about death. You know, he has the song 1000 Deaths, Another Life, which closes out the album, another one of my favorites. Till It's Done, Back to the Future, parts 1 and 2. And so there's a lot of introspection here, I feel like, in this album. But great body of work. And like I said, I was just thinking the other day, all right, now he's past due for a new release. And apparently he had been working with Raphael Sadiq on some new music. So I'm not sure if we're ever going to get to hear those songs. I really hope so. And I think that the two of them together are a great match. I don't know if you all remember, but Raphael Sadiq's solo album, Instant Vintage, which came out, I believe it was either 2001 or 2002, if I'm not mistaken. It was early 2000s. And he and Dangelo had a song on there called Be Here. To this day, I bump that song. I listen to it when I work out, when I'm in the car. Love it. I listen to it like it just came out. So let's get into this album a little bit. So this vinyl is pretty standard. You know, you have your, it's just black vinyl. No real frills there. It is a double vinyl. And then, of course, he has the photos here. The photos are not polished. They're kind of gritty. Again, it's dark, it's moody. It goes with the album, I feel. He does have the lyrics, which he usually would have for all of his albums. So I appreciate when an artist has liner notes that are worth reading so you can see the song lyrics there. And of course, we know that Dangelo was not only a musician in his own right as far as singing and songwriting goes, but you know, he sang these songs, wrote them, produced them. So he had a really big hand in all of his music. You know, even playing, you know what? So rude. Okay, we're gonna try this again, hopefully with less barks this time. So with this album, Dangelo, he's a one man band pretty much. It really reminded me a lot of Prince, in the sense of when you look at the credits, it's like written, produced, sang, arranged, all that by Dangelo, and much like how Prince was. So on this album, he has pretty much all of the songwriting credits. Now there are a few songs where Q-Tip is listed as a songwriter along with Kendra Foster and Questlove on the music side, as far as like Questlove playing some of the drums and things like that. I'm just kind of scanning through this to make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's very, there was a lot going on in the world, and even more going on now. But at that time that this album was released, and I think that he did a great job of reflecting that through his art. So I'll read just one of the liner notes in here, just kind of quotes and things from the album. It says, "Black Messiah is a hell of a name for an album. It can be easily misunderstood. Many will think it's about religion. Some will jump to the conclusion that I'm calling myself a Black Messiah. For me, the title is about all of us. It's about the world. It's about an idea we can all aspire to. We should all aspire to be a Black Messiah." So I feel, and I always wonder this, when people pass away or when they're nearing their time, which I know this was well before his time, it's so introspective and so deep to the point where it's like, did he know that this would have been his last album? You know, kind of makes you wonder. But what a great body of work to go out on, as far as this being his last studio recording that he's had here with us. I don't know if the Raphael Sadiq produced music is going to see the light of day. Of course, they joined forces on Lady, which is one of his biggest songs. And that's one of my favorite songs, period. But it'll be interesting to see what is done with the legacy of his music, his unreleased music going forward. So again, this is a little bit of the inside of the album. So another photo here, some words there. So, and then when you flip this on the back, there's also another photo of him playing guitar there. So yeah, not so much about the album per se, but I really wanted to focus on Dangelo as an artist for this video, and his music will stand the test of time. I think that there weren't, other than, like I say, I think that his music was very Prince coded. So that's the only artist I can think of that's similar to him. But since he's come out, there have been a few male artists, I won't name any names, but a little bit of that Dangelo style in there, but no one has sounded like him since he came out. Now, it's been 30 years, you know, since he's been out. So yeah, definitely will be missed. And let me know y'all's thoughts on this album, Dangelo and the Vanguard Black Messiah. What are some of your favorite tracks, if you've listened to it or even if you own it? What are some of the Dangelo vinyls that you own, and some of his favorite songs just in his entire catalog? And again, rest in peace and blessings and love to his family and all of his loved ones and friends. Peace.